Hello and welcome to a friendly chat. Today we're talking comics again, and it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And well, as my shop sells comics, I should be able to talk about them now and again. So so specifically, I'm going to talk about a time period in the early '90s, and by extension, a bit of the late '80s as well, where Marvel used to release each year a series of titles, and they'd sort of throw it against the wall and see what stuck. And they'd have a bit of a, not really a theme, but it was more of an idea of, let's bring in some characters that have been around for a while but never had an ongoing series. Let's bring in a character that has an ongoing series but hasn't had one for a while. Let's bring in some new characters that no one's done before. So, for example, they'd Mark Spector Moon Knight. They bring Moon Knight back and give him an ongoing series, which was really, really a good one. I really enjoyed that series. They'd have a new team like the New Warriors, which they'd introduced in, to use a television term, a backdoor pilot with them appearing in a couple of issues of Thor while he was fighting the Juggernaut during Acts of Vengeance. They had a RoboCop series, which was a film tie-in. There was new characters like Darkhawk and Sleepwalker, which no one knew what they were, and you basically each month you get a little bit more of history of who they were and what their point was. Um, and then there'd be something like a generational character that has been around before, like Danny Ketch's Ghost Rider. So it was a new Ghost Rider. Wasn't the same demon that was attached to Johnny Blaze. So it's like, oh, who's this and how is that happening? So there was a lot of interesting stuff over the years. Specifically, though, I'm going to pick one year, which is 1992, which was my final year of high school. But Marvel released 6 books that year under the banner The Big Guns, and they followed suit with their the formatting of, here's an old character, or here's a couple of old characters that never had a series that is getting an ongoing series. Here's someone who used to have a series who's coming back to a series. One was getting a spin-off. Another one was a generational character to an extent. And then the last one is the most interesting one, which would like to talk about in a little bit more detail. So let's kick it off.
And now the news. Don't touch that dial.
So the big guns. First book I'm going to talk about is Cage, which was the return of Luke Cage, Power Man, Hero for Hire. He hadn't been around for a while. He's sort of skulking around the Marvel universe here and there, but Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, or Power Man and Iron Fist had ended in the 80s. So they sort of had him appear in an issue of Marvel Comics Presents, like a little 8-page story. It's like, hey, here's Luke Cage, he's back. And then they spun it off into his series, which Cage. And so yeah, I do like this first cover where it's got his classic costume being torn off, so his silk shirt and his chains and that, and he's got shorter hair, leather jacket and heavy boots, and he just looks like a serious guy ready to cause some serious problems for whoever's causing problems for other people, because he's a hero for hire. It was a good series. I believe drawn by Dwayne Turner, fair chunk of it. McLaurin? I think Mark McLaurin wrote it. It was a decent series, went for 20 issues. There was a crossover with 2 other books that came out of The Big Guns. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, The Big Guns. But it was entertaining. I always liked Luke Cage. He was just a solid character. I love the concept of the Heroes for Hire. He was just a cool cat. I always liked Luke Cage, and I'm happy that he's still stuck around in the Marvel Universe and became bigger and bigger through the 90s, through the 2000s, and yeah, he's still kicking, which is awesome. So that was the first book off the first cab off the rank, so to speak. Number 2 is Silver Sable. So Silver Sable is a character, of course, been around for ages. Spidey character, really interesting. She's a mercenary, but has her own team called the Wild Pack, and that's what the series was called, Silver Sable and the Wild Pack. And this has a diabolically 80s cover, which is foil embossed and shiny, 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 so shiny, which is the 90s through and through. But regardless of a cover like that, it's still very, very good. So yeah, you can't complain about it too much. Of just saying, oh, it's just got a flashy cover and that's it. But it was a solid series. Interesting. Her team was made up of some interesting characters. They had Flint Marko, Sandman. He was on the team because he'd become a good guy. And Paladin, the mercenary in the purple suit, which I was like Paladin. I thought he had a good look. And then, there's just generic sort of soldier characters and that. But yeah, it was cool stuff because she kicks ass and takes names. So yeah, it was good to see Silver Sable come back and get an ongoing series because she'd never had one before. Joining Silver Sable and been around for a while but not having a series was Nomad. Excuse me. Itchy nose. Nomad, Jack Monroe, Captain America's partner. Now, he, the year earlier, had a mini-series, which went for 4 issues, and sort of tested the waters. And they changed his look considerably because his look, which was mainly it's sort of blue costume with where he threw these little discs. There we go. There's a picture of him down on the corner there. It's there we go. So there's Nomad down there. Just blue costume. He's got these discs that he throws and causes injury and damage. And then they changed it for a shotgun and long hair. So yeah, when you think of diabolically 90s things, Luke Cage is fine. Jack Monroe is kind of like, wow, what were you thinking? And I picked the wrong volume there, but there'll be a volume at the end of this section that'll show you what he looks like. But yeah, shotgun and long hair and sunglasses, and a trench coat. But he was still an interesting character. He was basically going around America and solving hassles for people, as was his wont. But his character was a little bit more interesting because he was cryogenically frozen, and he was a little off kilter. So yeah, he had the capacity to be psychotic if he was not kept under check and that. So it was interesting. Interesting. It only went for 25 issues. It was still pretty good. It does have a beginning, a middle, and an end, so there is that, which is good. And then Nomad didn't really sort of show up again until, well, the Winter Soldier killed him. So spoilers. But during the Winter Soldier's first appearance, there's an issue where Jack Monroe gets shot and killed by him. So sorry about that if you haven't read it, but it is like more than. God, it's been ages since the Winter Soldier came out. But yeah, he was an interesting character, and I quite liked him. And I am bummed that he got killed off, but who knows? He may come back. No one ever really stays dead. A generational character, sort of. A really, really tenuous connection here. Death's Head 2. Now, this was a Marvel UK series. Death's Head was, once again, a Marvel UK character. I always liked Death's Head because he was a Transformers character from Marvel UK, created by Simon Furman, co-created by him and Jeff Senior, I believe. And or it could have been Brian Hitch. I can't remember who is originally given that honor as the co-creator, but it's either Jeff Senior or Brian Hitch, or it could be both. I don't know. Sorry about that, but I don't know everything, unfortunately. He had an ongoing series which went for 10 issues. It came out, I believe, in 1989, 1990. It was very fun. It was cool. In 92, they decided, hey, let's update it all. Let's update Marvel UK and try to get more people out there to read it and make it more of a viable company. So they created a new character that was called Minion, and Minion went around killing characters. And Death's Head was on his list, and Death's Head went down hard. But the joke was on Minion. Death's Head's personality overrode his body, and so Death's Head became in charge of the new cyborg or robot, which is there. It's an interesting look. I still prefer the old Death's Head look, but it was okay. It had a 4-issue miniseries, and I think it went for about 16 issues as an ongoing. It was fun. It was fine. The thing I loved about Marvel UK was, and I like this about all foreign comics, and I know American comics are technically foreign, being Australian, but I think of American as mainstream, and everything from other countries is foreign. It felt British, like, I mean, it was written by British people, it was drawn by British people, but it just felt British. It just the impact of the stories, and just the I don't know, just the way the characters acted. They just felt like they were written by British people and had a British sensibility about them. So I kind of liked that. I thought it was kind of fun. A spin-off series, Punisher Warzone. The second spin-off series of of Punisher after War Journal. It was fun. Chuck Dixon wrote it. Initially, I don't know, I can't remember how long Chuck Dixon wrote for. It went for 40 issues, right up until when they shut the Punisher down for a little bit, and then brought him back as a mobster, which was weird, and I don't know why they thought that was going to work, but didn't last very long. Has a really neat wrap cover, which is cardboardy, and it's also die cut. John Romita Jr. did the art for the first, I think, at least 6 to 8 issues. I love John Romita Jr.'s art. I know not everyone does, but I do. I think he's good. But yeah, it was solid enough. I enjoyed it for the first year or so. I really liked it. But yeah. But number 6 on this list is the one I like to talk about a little bit more. So number 6 of the big guns is Terra Incorporated. I still haven't worked out how to line that camera up, sorry. Now, this book I thought was the most interesting of the 6. Like, I love Nomad, love Silver Sable, love Luke Cage, love the Punisher. Death's Head was fun. This was interesting. This was really interesting. He was way out of left field as far as characters go. So Terra Incorporated, title alone was cool, and he looked cool. He was a horror looking character, and at the time, yeah, I was into this. I was definitely into that sort of thing. I was willing to give new characters a go, and I like as I said, like the look. Like, put that back up. So yeah, he's a monster-looking character. You know, he's got like green skin and weird sort of things sticking out of his face and buggy eyes but he wears a nice suit, a hat, and an overcoat, and he sort of has a very his speech pattern seems to be very eloquent and kind of neat. His power set is fascinating because as he's a horror sort of character, it's a little bit disgusting, but his body is in a consistent state of rot, for lack of a better term. He's constantly sort of needing to replace body parts due to either injury or due to the fact that it's just it's worn out and a new one. So he's constantly just like, and he just will stick a new hand on or pop a new eye in. It's not like he needs surgery. It just works. It just attaches. So he's constantly, so he has like spare parts, and it's like, oh, I need a new eye. Yeah. The other thing that's neat about his character is his body will take on any attributes that muscle memory had. So if the eye was like, 2010 vision or something, like because it belonged to a bush sniper, he'd have exceptional eyesight in that eye. Or if he was, if he put on the hands of a boxer, he'd have better, like, maybe able to punch harder or something like that. It was really neat. It made no sense, but it's comic book physics and comic book biology. So you're like, yeah, okay, fair enough. He appeared in 2 issues of Wolverine, and there's a bit where they're fighting monkey wrenches in the forest, and they're nasty people. And there's two monkey wrenches who are sort of little people who had a big saw, and they cut him in half from like legs, cut his legs off. Anyway, they take refuge in a morgue, and he's going through the drawers, and he finds a body, and he goes. Anyway, he puts the legs on, and he realized the guy was like a martial artist, so he could kick them. So it was kind of fun stuff. But fascinating character, really, really cool. It was an interesting series. Only went for 13 issues. It was meant to go for 15. Only went for 13. The last two were never made. Art by Jorge Zaffino, who I really like. I really like his art. He was responsible for the Assassin's Guild, the Punisher graphic novel, one of my most favorite graphic novels. Really interesting art style. He was from Buenos Aires. Unfortunately, no longer with us. He died quite a while back. His son is a really good artist too. Like his son, really, really neat. Another good thing Zaffino did was with Chuck Dixon, was called Winterworld, which was a really cool, no pun intended, post-apocalyptic story where the world freezes and people are sort of surviving in the ice. But yeah, really, really interesting artist. I believe the inking was done by Klaus Janson, who also worked on something else here too. But yeah, from basically Frank Miller stuff with Dark Knight Returns, great anchor, really good, solid. And also they did some stuff with Daredevil as well. Klaus Janson and Miller did on their run of Daredevil, so really good stuff. Now, this was written by Dan or DG Chichester. I actually had to look that up. Now, I'm going by the pronunciation of the town in England, in the UK. That's how it's pronounced, Chichester. I thought initially it was Chichester, but I think I'm going to go by that pronunciation. He is fantastic. Now, the character originally showed up in Marvel Epic Line's Shadowline saga, which was 3 interconnecting series and I think a mini series and a bunch of stuff. And he's quite different in the Shadowline saga. He's also called Shrek as like his sort of other identity. But Chichester basically said it's the same character. Now the Marvel editorial went, aren't they totally different? But when the creator says it's the same character, that's enough for me. It's the same character. So yeah, basically one day in issue 305 of Daredevil, there's one page where suddenly Terra Incorporated, or Terra Incorporated, it's sort of like a company, but Terra shows up and it's one page and it's like, I am here to do stuff. And you're going, where is he going from here? And it's like, well, he goes in issue 1 of Terra Incorporated. And yeah, neat stuff. So that's how he sort of goes over. Chichester was writing Daredevil at the time. He wrote a bunch of horror stuff too. He's really, really good. He did did a bunch of the Hellraiser for Marvel's Epic Line as well. Really, really solid stuff. But yeah, as I said, 13 issues. It also crosses in Silver Sable and Cage. So they have a nice little story arc in there. I think it's For Love or Money. For Love Nor Money, sorry. 6-parter. 2 issues of each of Terra, Silver Sable, and Cage. Really cool crossover. So basically, there's so all in all, 13 issues of Terra, 2 issues of Wolverine, 2 issues of Sable, 2 issues of Cage. So you got 19 issues, and it's all done. That's it, unfortunately. I think it had legs. I really did. I would like to have seen more of this. I'd like to see them come back and give another go at this character, but do it properly. Now, if you look it up and you are interested, you should be able to track down the singles pretty easily. I don't believe they're particularly hard to get. Neither them, nor Silver Sable, nor Cage, nor the Wolverine issues. But you will find 2 miniseries by Marvel Max. And my recommendation is avoid them like the plague. They are absolutely dreadful. I think David Lapham did one of them. I don't think he did both of them, but if he did, shame on him. It is in name only. So if you were a fan of this before and you've read it all and you think, oh, I might check out those miniseries, I don't even recommend checking them out as a comparison. I think they're absolutely wretched. Latham, I don't think he ever read a single issue of this. I think he basically just went, his name's Terra and he's green. That'll do. Here's 5 issues. Buy it. And it's Max, so it's got swearing and violence, so it's adult. And it's like, doesn't impress me. Sorry, guys. But yeah, it is just absolutely terrible. And I will never recommend it to anybody. I wouldn't even recommend it to my worst enemy. Going, you should read this. It's like, nah. As I said, it's not even so bad it's good. It's not even like I will buy this as a warning to other comics to not be like, nah, don't waste your money on it. Really, really, really disappointing. And I don't mind sometimes if someone does something in name only, but this was just horrible. But there are 19 other issues of Terra that you can read and go, hey, there you go, good stuff. So yes, the big guns. I'm still saying it like that, the big guns. It was an interesting few years of Marvel, with 6 series lasting in various stages, 20 issues, 36 issues, 40 issues, 13 issues. But that's generally how it happened with all of them. They were basically beholden to the sales, and unfortunately, characters like Terra didn't really get a lot. I think Terra personally is ahead of his time as a character. I think he's maybe a little too high concept for 1992. He might have done better in the 2000s, maybe. I don't know. You can never predict it, unfortunately. But for me, at the time, I still like him. I think he's a perfect storm of a character. I think he's, as I said, he's straight out of left field. Not expecting that. And when you compare all the other books too, you've got Vigilantes with the Punisher and Nomad. You've got Silver Sable doing mercenary stuff and saving the world, making the world a better place. You got bloody Death's Head, who was also a mercenary. Well, the original Death's Head was a freelance peacekeeping agent because mercenaries are bad. But yeah, like funnily enough, most of these characters are mercenaries. Like Luke Cage is a hero for hire, technically a mercenary. So you got, a whole bunch of, pretty much all of them are mercenaries. Because even Terra is a mercenary. Oh, that's right. Terra does show up in Deadpool in one of the Deadpool miniseries, but he's mainly just treated as a joke, and I don't really like it. I sort of was happy to see him back. Hey, Terra's back, and it's like, oh, it was very watered down. Let's just put it that way. So I forgot about the Deadpool miniseries, but it is it is forgettable. But as I said, basically, funnily enough, I only just put that together. 6 mercenary characters. The big guns. Well, the Punisher's not really mercenary. He's just a murderer, basically. But yeah, okay, 5 mercenaries and the Punisher. But yeah, it was an interesting release, and I do miss Marvel taking these risks like that. I know why they don't. I get it. It's you know, sale. As I said, you're beholden to sales, and nowadays, their sales are way less than the minimum amount of sales that it'd take to get this thing cancelled. It's like I think whatever this was going. I mean, I would have been curious to look up actually what the sales were for each of these issues, because I have a feeling that even at its lowest, this probably sold more issues than they do for most titles these days, with the exception of things like Batman and Spider-Man and things like that. But the bulk of books. But yeah, I miss that sort of stuff, because Marvel did a whole bunch of stuff like that. They did the 2099 stuff. They took a big risk with that, and that was for the most part interesting. It was it helped having good writers and good artists and that, and all of these books had that. As I said, you got Chichester, you got Chuck Dixon, you got Mark McLaren. Who was doing Silver Sable at the time? I can't remember. That's right. I think I picked the wrong volume of Silver Sable. But, no. So Nomad I had the wrong volume of. Gregory Wright. But yeah, it's interesting times, and I was happy that I was going through it at that time. As I said, I was graduating high school in 1992, so there were several of these books that I was getting at the time, but I ended up finishing the collections, several years later, when I actually had disposable income after I started working. But yeah, that's that's felt like talking about this, and I like, of all these characters, the one I am pushing a bit today is Terror Incorporated, because I just think he's interesting, and of all of them, he's the one that doesn't really fit because of his look and his power set. It is a horror character. It is like nasty, but when you read the issues with Wolverine and that, and you go, you're just like, no, he works really well with Wolverine as a character. It's like Wolverine sort of likes him. So yeah, it was kind of just fun stuff. But yeah, so Marvel's Big Guns, 1992. Did you read these? Did you read any of them? Are you just like, oh, what the hell is this, and why do I care? I'm sorry if I bored you, but I just felt like just talking about like one of this sort of interesting sort of stuff to me, where it's like, yeah, we're gonna, as I said, throw it against the wall, see what's stuck, and yeah, it is fascinating to look at these and go, this went for this amount of issues, this went for this, this went for this, this went for this. But it is funny for when you sort of look at them and you go, oh, the one that went the longest isn't necessarily the one I like the most. Even though I like the Punisher, I really do. But yeah, the one that went the least amount of books is the one that I sort of miss. And that's kind of how it is. That happens with television. That happens with that happens quite a lot. But yeah, so yes, as I said, Marvel's Big Guns. So yeah, just in the comments, if you remember this era, if you're around, like if you're an old timer like me, feel old some days, and you're like, yeah, I remember those. Oh, I bought Warzone, or I bought bought Cage or I'd never even heard of Death's Head or Terror Incorporated. It's like, oh, okay, well, hopefully you find this interesting, and maybe you might want to check out some of these books. As I said, avoid the Max series like the plague. They're just offensively bad. But yeah, leave a comment. Are these any characters you wish came back? Oh, I mean, Punisher hasn't really gone anyway, but yeah, I wish they'd revisit some of these characters again, or revisit or give them another go. Yeah, leave a comment. But other than that, I'm going to leave you with this. And yeah, as I say, keep on reading, keep on listening, keep on watching, keep yourself entertained, because there's lots of cool stuff out there. And yeah, just got to go get it. Bye-bye.
More updates. Damn the man! Save the Empire!